Hello, everyone. Welcome to Childbirth with Grace.tv. I am your host, Ilia Blandina, and I am really excited about today's class. So, as usual, my intention is to awaken your life power by helping you to tap into your personal birth journey. Joining us today is a very, very special guest, Alina Frank. Alina first witnessed the mind's ability to facilitate physical healing while practicing as a postpartum doula. 7 years later, she discovered EFT, which she used to eliminate all symptoms of a serious illness and to radically improve her life circumstances. Based on her personal success with EFT, Alina established a private EFT practice and received her certification from EFT founder Gary Craig in 2006. In 2007, she received trauma-specific EFT training from Rabbi Legumsky, director of the Israel Trauma Care. Alina became a certified matrix reimprinting practitioner in 2010 and became a trainer for matrix reimprinting the following year. She earned her Master of Life Coach certification in 2012, and she is also the author of the best-selling book, How to Want Sex Again, Rekindling Passion with EFT. I am so very fortunate to have Alina as my teacher, mentor, and sister of my soul path. Welcome, Alina. I'm so excited that you're going to be talking with my students today.
Yeah, hi, Ilya. It's great to be here. It's such an honor to be on your show. I've just seen you blossom from the first time that I met you many years ago, and you're doing phenomenal work in the world. So I'm really honored to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. I'm excited too. So let's dig in because sex is the word.
Yeah.
and 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 today's class is how to ignite passion during pregnancy. So first of all, tell us a little bit about your path in finding EFT.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was a postpartum doula, as you said, and mm, one of the like miracle things that happened was I was working with a woman who she really had her mindset on having a very spiritual, very connected home birth. Her husband had written a piece of music that he was going to play to her while surrounded by loving friends and family and their home and their tribe and the whole thing. And she had a C-section instead. And during the course of the C-section, there were, the, there was like a huge chasm between what she expected to be the birth of her child and the actual birth of her child. And so that, expectation not being met caused a lot of trauma. And you would look at it and say, you look at it on paper and you say, well, it was a regular standard C-section, and you know all about this because of your training in midwifery. And it just looked like, everything went well. But what happened when I got to see her post that, she was not doing well. She was not recovering from the C-section. Her baby was not doing well. He was very fussy and colicky, and she had undiagnosed, but I suspect some postpartum depression going on. And I decided at that point that I would put her through a meditation, a guided visualization of the actual birth, because I didn't have EFT or matrix back then. So I put her through that, and during the visualization, after she opened her eyes and she was present, she said the most fascinating thing happened. I suddenly remembered that during the I tried to make my birth as positive and as connected as possible, even in that hospital environment. And I made sure that I connected with every single person that was in that room. And the nurses all knew what my intentions were. The doctor knew what my intentions were. My husband was there next to me. He was still going to sing me that song. But in the middle of the birth, um, she couldn't see it because of the draping and stuff, but she hears a door open, and a fellow doctor comes in and starts chatting with her OBGYN about the hockey game that happened the night before. And so that was huge trauma for her. But in the course of the meditation, what she was able to do, I think I may have guided her and said, is there anyone that you have to forgive? Is there anything that you have to let go of? And she went to, he's just a doctor. What does he know? This isn't his world. He doesn't understand how important this was for me. I let it go. I forgive. I'm done with it. And she moved on. And blew me away because she felt better immediately. But not only that, the baby all of a sudden recovered from all his physical symptoms. She started recovering from her wounds, and she no longer had any kind of depression at all. So that was like a real insight for me about the power of emotions and how emotions connect so powerfully during this pregnancy and childbirth experiences, and unresolved issues and emotions around these events definitely contribute to physical things as well. And then years later, I understood completely when I found EFT. And so that's how it was for me. And my personal journey was that I had a stillborn, and my stillborn was actually my first child. And I had done, I tell you, I was like 2 years doing detox and healing foods and all kinds of things to get me ready. And my spiritual guru at the time made me meditations for each of the trimesters. So there was a moment, where we lit candles and I knew I conceived. So it was like uber connected to this incarnating soul. And lo and behold, the baby dies. And so I was pissed. I was traumatized. I didn't want to deal with it. And then 6 months later, I had an autoimmune condition. I was diagnosed with with an autoimmune condition. So I thought those two things are connected, and it set me on a healing journey to try to find something to help me. And that's when I came across EFT, and immediately, having this experience of how this all is connected emotionally, I thought, wow, this might be the ticket. And it really was. So that's just my journey.
That's an amazing story. You know, and that's one of the things that I'm actually teaching with this weekly class and getting the message out. And my main mission, because I've been there as a midwife when
Right.
another doctor comes in and talks about what have you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be really distracting. And of course, we both have had children, so I've had experiences like that where other people come in and it's amazing when you're in the driver's seat is what came to mind as far as
Right.
when you're the one giving
Right.
birth.
Yeah.
I'm studying some of Barbara DeAngelis's work, and she talks about things that expand you and contract you. And one of the realizations that I found when studying that work is birth is the only time where you're having to be right at that 0 point where things are expanding and contracting at exactly the same time.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how the littlest tiny detail that you would just on a normal day just blow off,
Right.
when it comes to that moment where I think, to me personally, with all the studying I've been doing, I think there's a part of the veil is lifted and you see and pick up on things that you normally don't pick
Oh,
up
for
on.
sure. For
and
sure.
and it becomes you know, it could be a really great thing, or it could be the tiniest thing, could be a catastrophe in your
Exactly.
mind and in the future.
Right.
So with that being said, and because you have this awesome book, which anyone who, please, pregnant or not, you gotta get this book, How to Want Sex Again. I don't care if you're still having sex. Okay, you're still having sex. Awesome. You still need to get this book. It is. I so enjoyed reading. I got to read it again.
Thank you.
I
Thank you. Yeah, it just came out on paperback this week.
Ooh,
So here it
show
is.
us, show us.
Here
Oh,
it is, like the real thing, because it was an ebook for the last couple of months, and I kept telling people it's not real, and just like pregnancy, right? Like it's not real until it's here. It doesn't
that's
really
right.
hit me until it's there, until I actually see the
Yeah,
baby. Then oh
that's
my
right.
God, it's
That's
real.
right.
So same thing, baby's here.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm gonna get my copy. So when you come here to Florida, you're gonna
Yeah,
sign it. Yeah,
definitely will.
sweet, sweet. So so with that in mind, passion, and I love the pomegranate on your book. It's like so juicy. What do you feel is the biggest barrier to passion during pregnancy? By the way, did you see my beautiful photo that I made for our,
Yes.
I mean, I just fell in love with that woman in that photo. I just thought,
Yeah.
you know, I thought, what photo can I find? And I saw all these photos of with guys and girls, and I thought, nah, I want it to be ethereal because you know I'm really conscious of the fact that some women are by themselves too, right? Some women
Exactly.
are single moms out there,
Exactly.
and you still need that passion, right? So
Yeah, for sure.
give us some biggest barriers kind of thing to passion in pregnancy.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest barriers to passion in pregnancy is and after having a child really is there are some physical barriers. And so what I mean by that is pure and simple exhaustion. um, you're tired, and I think that it is it's something that happens that we have to be aware of, and we have to see how much of it we can shift through things like EFT. I know, and you've worked with women that have gone through all of pregnancy, being able to have really good energy and feel really excited and not in fear, because they're doing tapping on a regular basis. So I think that, for physical, so exhaustion is one, hormonal changes is another, and then under the category of physical, I would say physical also is your body image. So for a lot of women, especially in our culture, it's hard when you see these images and the cultural ideal of what beauty is, and suddenly you are feeling like you've swallowed a basketball, and that you're walking around and you feel like a beached whale. And I've heard all of these things from women, and there is nothing more beautiful, just like that picture that you just said, there's nothing more beautiful, for a lot of men than a pregnant woman. But it's us. It's all in our head. It's the story that we tell ourselves about the way that we're looking. And if we can get rid of those negative thoughts, then we will feel better. We will have more energy, and even hormones regulate. So women have reported that they do some tapping, and things like morning sickness go away. And who wants to have sex when you're feeling sick all day and want to just vomit? So all of those things can be addressed with some EFT, and the physical issues that are there will just be more easier to handle. It's not like they never come up, but they're not going to be these huge peaks that happen throughout the 9 months.
I totally agree with that. It's so important to just stay connected with who you really are when you're pregnant. And I think the world luckily, the world is slowly changing. It all
It
depends
is.
on what you decide to focus on. But there's a lot of communities out there, childbirthwithgrace .tv and .com being one of them, where you can get yourself tuned in to what you can do to keep yourself at a more steady and present state. Because I think one of the biggest things is you're so involved with the future when you're pregnant
Yes.
that when I think back now, if I could go back, and I'll probably go back because I just thought of doing this just now, use that matrix and go back and tell my pregnant self uh, at each pregnancy is, you know
Hmm.
what, just
Enjoy it.
enjoy every single second.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every single second. I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Every
And
single.
then because I didn't have EFT with my subsequent pregnancies and births, I had so much fear that I completely disconnected from the pregnancy, and that happens too. I Somebody told me all you have to do is think about feeding your body well and moving your body and forget that you're even pregnant, because they had a feeling that I was so terrified for those 9 months. And sure enough, it was mostly subconscious, but it came out in the labor, because I was in labor with my first one for 34 hours and the next one for 32 hours.
Uh,
So it was almost like subconsciously I felt like they're safe inside of me. The minute birth starts happening, something might happen, like happened the first time. So so I was really checked out, and I really wish I had had that. And yeah, Matrix would be a great thing to go back and just feel more connected to my children when I was pregnant with them. So that's a beautiful thing to do.
for sure. And that whole thing of my first baby was long like that. The birth
Mhm.
was 48 hours or more. And
Mhm.
and I do remember I was working as a pediatric ICU nurse, so uh, and it was and I knew later on, after studying what was going on, that he was facing up, you know, where his head was not,
Mhm.
you know, he was still head down, but he was facing up, so it's that sunny side up
Right.
or back
Right.
kind of stuff, which takes
Right.
longer.
Right. Yeah.
But I do remember a certain point in the labor where it was hours and hours, and thank God I had a labor team that was very, very patient, or else I would have been a C-section nowadays. But
Right.
and my friend who worked with me in the ICU, pediatric ICU, so mind you, a lot of interesting stuff. She said to me, you know, I think I know what's going on. And I said, what? And she, because I thought she was going to tell me something like, okay, this is what's happening, or there's an emergency. She goes, you just don't think the world is safe because of what we do for work. And,
Oh yeah.
and I said, and I just started to cry. And I said, yeah, you're right. I think that's what it
Right.
is.
Yeah.
And she said, well, it's safe, so let the baby come.
Yeah, that's good. That was
And
good.
and then the baby came. So
Yeah.
and by the way, it's his birthday today. Alex, if you're watching this, happy birthday.
Yeah,
Yay.
that's great.
All right.
Yeah, so I think so that's a pretty powerful message. And I remember working with some women that because they felt, the whole process can feel pretty you can feel pretty powerless. And we worked together to get them to the point where they felt empowered to make different choices about who that birth team would be. Because you're absolutely right, a good, solid, supportive birth team, including someone like you on the team, um, can make all the difference in the world between someone just kind of going through the paces and just being told what needs to happen, and sometimes not even that. And really feeling empowered. And I think that it may be because maybe because a woman hasn't had a voice in the past, she doesn't feel she has the right to make those decisions, or she gives away her power to someone that's not ideal. And I do remember working with some women just to be able to fire everybody. That's it, I'm done, I'm out of here. I need somebody better than you to help me go through pregnancy in the way that I always envisioned. And so, yeah, EFT is really good for that as well.
Yeah, that's a good point about firing everyone. I think that's what I did with my fourth baby, and I finally got as my husband wonderfully whispered in my ear when he was born at home. Uh, okay, I think you found the Holy Grail.
I did not know that. Number 4 is a home birth for you. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
a home birth and a vaginal birth after C-section. So I was
Excellent.
very extremely radical
Yeah.
and completely rocked the boat in year 2003. So, uh, so
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's important to have your voice in what you want to do,
Yeah.
and and I think the biggest thing is capturing how you can best feel empowered to make the best decision for yourself,
Absolutely.
and then um and then be okay with it, like don't
Yeah.
doubt it,
Yeah.
you know? I think
And
that
for some women, that will be a hospital birth, or some women, it will be a home center, a birth center birth, and some want to go completely unassisted, in a cave. And hey, it's like you get to do it the way you want to do it.
exactly. So
Yeah.
can you tell us any more wonderful stories of how you've used EFT and Matrix and with any of your clients?
Yeah, so I'm just thinking back at some of the case studies that not all of them got in the book. Plenty of women that have had the struggles of feeling after they gave birth that their bodies just weren't right. I mean, here you've just gone through this incredible physical process, and then sutures or whatever things happen during that process, just feeling like, no, I can't, there's no way. So the fears around that, I remember someone that was breastfeeding and was totally terrified that if she had sex, she had a feeling she'd just start gushing out milk everywhere, and was embarrassed and feeling ashamed that would happen. So we worked on that. Um, Someone else that felt like her husband had just seen, her whole body expand down there, so that and he would be totally flipped out. In fact, I remember those words that she said, like, down there, it's like down there.
It's not part of me, it's somewhere down there.
Somewhere down there, he saw this
The
big thing,
underworld.
and now what's going to happen? And so, most of these fears, what's really funny is that they're illogical. When we actually say them aloud, most of the time we're tapping it, and we say them, and we're like, well, that's just stupid. That doesn't make sense. But they're there, and we have them in our heads, and we're ruminating, and they're just sitting there stirring up all this fear and preventing us from really enjoying that time, which, I think for it, once women get through immediate postpartum, then I think that there are really great ways to connect with your partner, and going back into having a physical, sexual relationship with them is something to really try to focus on, because it's going to be like the last thing on your list. And you know how that is. When it's the last thing on the list, it probably needs to be done first. Like brushing your teeth. I remember postpartum moms like saying, I know, like, you won't even remember that you need to brush your teeth. Well, guess what? You have to brush your teeth now more than ever. So, so it's part of taking care of ourselves. It's part of taking care of our family. It's part of taking care of our romantic relationships, is to work on anything that prevents us from getting back there and becoming sexual again. Because really, we are at a point in our country where there is, 68% of married couples say that they're dissatisfied with their sexual relationship with their partner. And
68?
68.
68, not 628. That would be great.
No, no,
68.
unfortunately. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And we know that it's the second after money. Money is like the big thing, the greatest cause of divorce is that's number one. And right on its heels, number two is sex. So, and problems with your finances can definitely lead to problems with you having sex. So you can clear those by doing EFT and matrix reimprinting and all the things that you need to just get over that, resolve the problems that you have with your partner, because they will live on in, if something happened during the pregnancy or something happened at the birth around your partner, let me tell you, that shows up in the bedroom too. Like, you weren't there for me, or whatever it is, or they're not getting just how tired you are and how much support you need, and that you need to be taken care of during this period of time. Sometimes they don't get it. Sometimes it's just culturally. The reason I became a postpartum doula years ago was because I was horrified at what people had to deal with. Their partners were home for a few days and then they'd go back to work. And we live in a society where no one lives near their family anymore. And so there's no family support either. Maybe your mother comes for a week and that's it. And then you're alone. And and you and I are Latin, so that we have a different tradition. There's a period that's it's called la cuarentena, which is the 40-day period after you have a child. Your whole family shows up. Your mom with the pot of rice and beans, and your aunt drives you to your doctor's appointments, and you're not allowed to go anywhere by yourself, and you should really just kind of stay home and be taken care of by your family, and anything that you need, they're there for you. And very different. We're lucky in that way, but I saw that other people weren't doing that. So all of that pressure builds up for your partner to meet all of those needs, and we don't even know our neighbors. How could we rely on a neighbor to do something for us if we need to, take a shower and somebody watch the baby? We don't do that in our culture. So all of that pressure builds up, and then resentment builds up, and then the last thing you feel is sexual towards your partner. It's like, get away. So that has to be resolved.
For sure, for sure. And one of the things I love to teach, and my big mantra is, everyone's so stuck on planning the birth and making this birth plan that you forget really what's the most important thing to do is to clear the way instead of planning. Okay.
Right.
And part of that is, if you start learning all these techniques and get in touch with your partner before, while you're pregnant, but before having the baby, and actually work on your communication skills beforehand, then you have that a good foundation for after, when it really, really, the rubber meets the road, really.
For sure.
Because I think the forgotten trimester, it's they call that it's trimesters 3, right? So there's 3 trimesters. Well, the 4th trimester, that time period right after the birth, everyone's so, I remember with all of them, and I'm sure you remember with yours, the baby comes out, everyone goes to the baby. 5,000 deliveries. Me. I've done, I haven't had 5,000 children, but I've attended over 5,000 deliveries, and I tell you what, every single time I'm the midwife. There's the woman. I'm with her. That's what midwife means, with woman. Out comes the baby. We make sure baby's safe, can breathe, as acclimated to our atmosphere, and that's my job for the first 30 seconds. Once I know everything's good, I hand over the baby to mom, and then of course they start doing everything with the baby. It's like suddenly just me and mom are just there in this little bubble, because I'm still waiting for the placenta, the evil twin, to come out. And and everyone is gone. Everyone's out with the baby underneath the warmer, or wherever the baby's at. Everyone's gone, and I think it ends up continuing that way, and you don't realize how big, how it is huge, the childbirth experience itself, but in the course of your whole life, it's so small, but it's big at the same time. It's a very interesting time, and that's why I'm so still to this very day fascinated, and why I changed what I do to be more of an ethereal midwife. I think that's what I'm going to call myself.
I love it. That's very cool.
And because you really need to birth yourself as a woman, and also if you're not by yourself, if you have a partner, your immediate birth partner, father, partner, whatever, you need to birth yourself as a couple before this baby comes in, and people forget that,
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, we got to go back to that. I think, back in the old ancient days, they really knew that. I think with all this modern age, I think we forgot, but I think it's time to sort of go back and look at the basics. So tell us, what's the one thing you wish every woman who's pregnant should know?
I think that every pregnant woman should know that they are, I think we covered this pretty much. It's about being really connected and present, and that your body is growing and changing and expanding. Your mind is growing, changing, and expanding. Take the time to really take care of yourself and enjoy this part of your life. It's only there for a brief period of time, and then it's gone. So really, it is all about being connected and being in the moment, and trying as much as possible to be there, and know that you are beautiful, that you really are. And once you get the fears and the things that you have running in your head about your body out of your system, you will see that, you will be able to feel that beauty. And there's nothing more beautiful than a woman who is in a place of power and feeling herself and her womanhood when she is pregnant. And so I think I would want to share that with women, is that you are beautiful. This is a very special time in your life. Like Elia said, don't be so focused on the future and the baby, and all of the material things that come along with having a baby, especially the first one. That's not as important as the spiritual growth that you're going to experience during this time if you take advantage of it. And I know that I was even though I was checked out because of my trauma, I know that I was highly psychic, and I don't know if you've come across this too, with pregnant women, that I see that there is, like you said, there's this veil that opens not only in birth but leading up to it, and there you can really work and play off and expand those abilities, those psychic intuitive things that happen to you when you're in that state. It's the last time you're going to be that way for many. Just a few times, if you're going to have more than one, and enjoy it. Really, really be in the moment and really enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's just definitely different ways that you can be in the moment. You can get those beautiful photos done that everyone gets done. Cast your belly,
Cast your belly. Yeah.
meditation, but tapping is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, and I would say tapping is because it's a tool that you could just automatically just use whenever. If you feel like you're drifting away from the moment, just starting to tap without even
Right.
using words gets you centered and more present. So
And
do
that's
you
and
agree?
that's really good. Yeah, that's a really good, even in the moment where you're not even sure, just tapping on the points, or something comes up in the moment. We kind of call that like Band-Aid aspirin approach to EFT, where you're working on symptoms as they come up. But many times you're distracted, and you're distracting yourself by focusing on things that aren't important, like, oh, what kind of baby stroller should I get? I need the $350 model, or let me go research online for hours and hours and hours about the right one. So I think that we purposely distract ourselves when we're in fear, and because there's a lot of crazy stuff out there in the media. You know, when I was doing the postpartum doula work, um, there were things that would happen on TV shows that I just, it's like, oh great, like, it was just and so what there was one hospital show, right, and every time there was a baby, something happened,
Yeah,
and oh god,
it's
and it
never
was like,
normal.
really, no, it was never normal, it was
Oh,
never normal. So you
even
knew that.
now, even now, I would, when I was practicing as a midwife, I had this one woman who was addicted to that real life ER show, and
Uh-huh.
and there was this one particular show that was um, ER obstetrics.
Oh god. Yeah. It makes for good TV, but it's not real life, and people don't know that that's just a small percentage.
Yeah,
Small
I
percentage.
actually wrote her because she came in with so many fears. I actually wrote her a prescription uh, because she can no longer watch the show.
Yes, good.
I
Yeah.
mean, it was
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
funny, but yeah, people gravitate to the worst case scenarios, I think.
Right. And then so EFT helps you to get rid of those fears that are living inside of you, even just because you're picking up on all of this stuff. And people will tell you, they'll come up to you and tell you horrible stories when you're pregnant. Oh, let me tell you about, and all of that lives on inside of you. You're afraid, and one, you're terrified, or two, you're terrified to the point that you would rather not think about it, and you check out and you're not present. So then sitting down with somebody like you and just working through all of that gunk that's in there really does lay a beautiful path for having the birth that you want.
Absolutely. So as we're reaching the end of the class, which
Mhm.
has been absolutely phenomenal, can you lead us in a little exercise or that a pregnant woman can listen to later on, and to sort of help her expand
Mhm.
herself? Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I want you to go ahead and tap on your finger points. So if your palm is facing you, you're tapping on the side of your thumb near the tip, side of the index finger near the tip, side of the middle finger near the tip, side of the ring finger near the tip, side of the pinky near the tip, and then back to the side of the hand. And keep tapping that way rhythmically. You don't have to think about it too much. And when you get the hang of it, if you feel comfortable doing so, go ahead and close your eyes. And keep tapping on those finger points inside of hand until I tell you to stop. And I want you to see yourself in the not too distant future having had your baby. And let's make it after weeks after. Let's do 3 months after you've given birth to the baby. And you see your future self happy, glowing, having reached this point, connected to baby and connected to partner, whoever that is. And just see that connection and that expansion from being a couple to a family. And if this is a second or third child, then it's about making that expanded family include more love, more joy, more happiness with the arrival of this baby. And I also want you to just concentrate for a minute on that future self, that future you, and see and know that she's experienced tremendous growth and expansion during this period of time. And I also want you to detect if she's feeling powerful in her body because of what she's been able to accomplish. And powerful in your body sometimes equates to feeling sexy, sexual. And see her with this vital life force energy that's filling her up and radiating, and that everyone around her, your future self, is really feeling that. See if there's a color with that and make that stronger. Now, I want you to connect with your future self and ask your future self if there's anything that you need to know about to get to where she is there in the future. If there's a lesson or some kind of token or totem or symbol that she wants to just give you right now so that you know what steps you need to take to get to where she is in the future, have her share that with you now while you keep tapping on your finger points inside of hand. Now, if all of this scene and scenes and feelings, if all of this is positive, then I want you to go ahead and proceed to the next step. But if it's not, what I'd like for you to do is just gently open your eyes and jot down any notes about anything that came up that you're going to need to release in order to get there. But if everything was positive, if you've got this beautiful picture of your future self, I want you to feel the love and appreciation that she has for you because you've just taken the steps to get to where she is. And feel the love and appreciation that you have for her because she's just shown you a beautiful picture of your future. And you're going to stop tapping and put your hands at your heart center, just at the center of your chest, and remaining with your eyes closed, bring in that positive, powerful image in through the top of your head. Send that powerful positive image, feelings, any colors that you see. Send that down to all the cells of your body from the top of your head down to your toes, especially in and around any cells that need it related to your pregnancy. And bring that positive image, colors, feelings, that feeling of power in your body. Bring that into your heart center. Have it all grow, expand, and intensify. And when you're ready, go ahead and exhale that out. Imagine that you're sending that out through your heart, 360 degrees out in every direction with an exhale. Take your time. When you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes.
That was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah,
Awesome.
great. It's yummy. It's a yummy exercise, and you can do that over and over and over again throughout your pregnancy. You'll get different information.
Yeah, and I certainly probably the best information you can get is the negative.
For sure.
Because then that tells you what you need to work on and clear.
Exactly. And the more you clear, the more beautiful and powerful that picture becomes. So there won't be anything in the way.
Absolutely. Wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
That was so juicy. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Us today, and everyone out there. This will be up for you guys if you didn't join us live. It'll be there all week. So and on my YouTube channel and just everywhere. So just keep tapping. Until next time, keep tapping and let the loving tree of your celestial family be your guide to awaken your life power. Stay present, enjoy life, and be well. And Alina, tell us before we go off into the mist, if anyone wants to see what else you're up to, because I know you travel a lot, you do a lot of workshops.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're coming to Florida soon, so I'm really excited. I always come to your workshops when you come to Florida. So tell us how people can just keep up with what you're doing.
Sure, they can go to efttappingtraining.com and you'll see ways to connect with me personally there, as well as look at all of our offerings. So thank you for that, and I look forward to maybe hanging out with you on the beach. We got a place right on the beach to stay this time around in Florida, so come and visit us. Yeah,
absolutely. And if you didn't catch that, it's going to be in the description. I'll put it in the description so that way you can see what Alina's up to and just enjoy life. I think that's really the key. So until we see each other again, remember that next month in March, by the way, this is leap year, happy leap year. On Monday, we get an extra day for every 4 years. So March is going to be an encore month and I'm going to re-air some of the classes that I did in the past, because I'm going to take that month and create some really juicy experiences for everyone out there. So I can't wait till I get to do that, and then we will meet again at the end of March, and I get to tell you all the wonderful stuff that we can do together in person or online, and just have some really great fun. So until next week, still come back next week because you're going to see some classes that aren't out there for public view. So come back next week and we will keep on going. All right. See you then. Bye. Bye, Alina. Don't go yet, but bye.